Witness the exact moments when police knew Chris Watts was guilty in his family's disappearance and the eventual found murder of his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters. We're going to analyze Chris's body language from police body cameras to show you when police knew he did it. This stunning insight is next. Welcome back to the channel. Derek Van Schaik here. Chris Watts is the Northern Colorado man who eventually admitted to killing his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters on the morning of August 13th, 2018. Right now, you are watching Chris Watts cover up the scene of his crime by loading his deceased pregnant wife and 2 young daughters into the back seat of his work truck, which took him about 50 minutes that morning. His pregnant wife Shanann was found buried in a shallow grave in an eastern Colorado oil field where Chris worked, and the bodies of his 2 little girls were found dumped in oil tanks. I live just 40 minutes south of where all this happened, so this case literally hits close to home. At first, Chris Watts claimed his family was just missing, and that's where we're going to start. We're going to watch through police body cameras how this first day unfolded, and I'll point out Chris's body language, which caused police to really suspect he was guilty. Since cameras are now everywhere with doorbell cameras, police body cameras, and cell phone cameras, it's shocking to witness firsthand how everything unfolded and then unraveled quickly for Chris that first day. Now, let's get started.
How you guys doing?
Brother?
What's that?
Do you remember me?
Yeah.
Hey man, Ben.
How you been?
Hi.
You Nicole?
Yes.
So what's going on?
So my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend,
Right.
and I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well, and she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9, and I told her to let me know if she needed me to take her. She's got 2 little girls, and she was very distraught over the weekend, wasn't eating normally or drinking, and we kept trying to force it on her because she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband and her supposedly are separating, but she didn't know this. She thought they were just having issues. He disclosed that to me today.
Okay.
Because I called him and I was like, have you talked or heard from Shanann since she left for work this morning? Because I can't get a hold of her. I've called, I've texted. Her car's in the garage. Her shoes she wears every single day are by the front door.
She only has 1 vehicle?
No, they only have the 1 vehicle in his work truck.
Okay. That's what I'm asking.
She
There's
took
not a...
the girls and went on a play date, but they're 4 and 2. She went on a play date. Why wouldn't she take in a car? They're both in car seats.
And Bella's so sweet, playing with her baby.
And she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9 and she didn't go to the doctor's appointment.
Okay. No answer on the phone. Husband's on his way.
Minnie Mouse out there for Christmas. But it's been absolutely gorgeous here in Colorado, like always.
Supposedly, but he said that 30 minutes ago when I called him again and he said there's 45 minutes out still. And I know the code to the door.
You do?
I do, but there's a thing on it. There's a, no, it'll, you can Chris and we can do it. There's a, they have the thing flipped up here.
Oh. What about the garage door?
I don't
Is
know.
there...
And the alarm goes off.
Do you mind calling him and seeing if we can get a passcode to this and get me permission to go in?
Okay.
It's later revealed the garage door keypad doesn't work, so the only way to get into the house is using the remote garage door opener. Chris seems to have made it so no one would be able to go through the house while he was at work, just in case he thought of extra crime scene cleanup that needed to be done while he was at work.
I'm just going to check the back, see if I can see anything.
At this point, Officer Coonrod is logically thinking Shanann is having a medical emergency, which is why he's banging on windows to hopefully get her children to let them in to help her.
Yep. I've got to have more unless I get consent from him to go in.
And if she does, you can't answer.
Oh, no, I got a phone!
Yeah. You got your 4th Amendment rights to the house.
Yep.
I can't violate that. How you doing? You seen your neighbors today? No? Okay.
This is Nate, the next door neighbor with that security camera. Up until this point, of course, he had no reason to check his security camera footage.
Oh, we're just trying to get a hold of her. Felt like she wasn't feeling too good and pregnant, and they were just concerned.
Cece, don't be mean.
Shit. How am I gonna get in?
Now Ben is filling in Nate on what's going on and how this is all very odd, which is naturally getting Nate more involved.
Police called me. Shannon was at her girlfriend's house.
Do we know who that is?
Do we know who?
Or phone number?
He didn't say.
When did he tell you that?
He needs Mrs. acting funny. I don't get it. What did he say?
He told me that Shanann didn't take the girls to school this morning because she was going to go on a play date, but her car's here.
Hey guys. Hold on, I'm just hopping outside right quick.
What's Chris's phone number? Hey Chris, Officer Coonrod for the police department. Pretty good. So, do you have any idea where your wife is?
Already, Officer Coonrod feels like Chris isn't taking this seemingly serious situation seriously.
Okay. Right. Well, my concern is her car's here. They're saying she is diabetic. I don't want her, if she's upstairs and can't respond. Okay. About how far out are you? Okay. All right. Thanks. He said like 5 minutes. So he's about here.
He's told us 45 minutes 2 times in a row. So he's just been giving us false times and everything. And we know he's been lying because his stories aren't adding up.
Now, the police officer is receiving even more to build on that negative impression of Chris. Obviously, Chris's story of where Shanann and the kids could be is not adding up because he's lying and can't keep his story straight. But why has he been saying he's 5 minutes away for the past 45 minutes? It's likely because while at work, he thought of something that needed cleaning up and didn't want anyone to bust in before he was able to alter his crime scene.
I mean, I don't see anything out of place. I'm not hearing kids. I'm not hearing anything.
No, Cece. Clean up. Remember, clean up?
What's Shannon's number? I don't hear the phone ring or anything.
Yeah, we have it. The neighbor has a camera system.
See how Ben is rubbing his palms together? That's a sign of positive expectancy. And in this situation, he's expecting information from Nate's camera that will help locate Shanann and the kids.
So he's told us 3 different stories. So the neighbor over there said he has a camera.
Shannon, are you home?
This kid keeps me going.
Police department, if anyone's inside, make yourself known.
Is that airplane?
Police department, if anyone's inside, make yourself known.
Is that Bella?
Yeah, you'd think they were here. The kids or someone would respond, though. You'd hear some kind of noise.
When Chris finally gets home with the police officer standing right there, he goes to the passenger side of his truck to get something? The officer must be thinking she could be dying in there. Why didn't you just quickly hit the button to open the garage and sprint into the house to find out if your family's okay?
I'm here. Hang on. Yeah, get me on the phone.
Okay, get Madison.
Scott, how you doing?
How's it going?
So this is the only vehicle she would have?
Only one that, yeah.
She would drive? Okay.
More diddle-dallying. Instead of running into the house, he goes into his wife's car to either put something into her car or take something out. Regardless, it's very likely he did something that he thinks will help cover his tracks or make it appear he's less guilty.
There's no way you can look for the day during the daytime.
Now, neighbor Nate is beginning to search through his security camera footage. Everything's already headed downhill for Chris Watts.
Chris is in the house. We're standing outside the 15th house. Can we go in the house?
Chris was alone in the house for 1 minute and 15 seconds. I think it's safe to say that he wasn't looking under the beds for his family during that time.
I mean, that's up to him. It's his house. If you guys...
Nikki, I'm giving you permission to walk in my daughter's house.
Mind if I come in, Chris? Okay. You checked upstairs? She's not there? I just want to make sure she's not passed out somewhere. You mind if I look around?
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
Upstairs is when Chris's performance really begins.
Down her phone.
Oh. Well,
All the girls blankies are gone. Their blankie they sleep with, they don't leave anywhere without them.
good.
What you'll notice is how Chris throws in diversion evidence and diversion dialogue, which he thinks will help divert people from looking at him as suspect number one and start to believe the ridiculous story that his family just vanished.
Nothing else appears to be missing, though. Just stuff you'd take for a quick trip.
Her phone.
Her phone's here? Her phone's here.
Does she work?
Yeah, she works from home.
Oh, from home?
See how Nicole just flailed her left hand right after she touched Shanann's phone? It was as if Shanann's phone burnt her hand. It's because touching Shanann's phone made the likelihood that Shanann is in danger very real, and it was very emotionally painful for her to touch it.
She works, this is her lifeline.
It was shut down?
She's in the flight, right?
The officer knows people just don't shut down their phones in their own home. This is adding to the officer's suspicion of Chris.
You know her passcode?
I don't know her passcode.
It used to be 2385, but now it's 6 digits.
It's the baby's due date.
Now, the officer is asking him questions to understand whether he has a decent alibi to decide Chris's level of involvement in all of this.
And then she flew out to Arizona Friday morning, and then she got back last night. About 2 a.m. The flight got delayed. She left about 11. She got here at 2.
Okay.
And I went to work this morning about 5:15, 5:30.
Notice the officer's left hand. It's up to his face, and it's up to his face a lot here on out. But we don't know where it is exactly on his face. If his hand is on his cheek or high chin area, it's a sign of evaluation. If it's on his chin, it's decision. But if it's covering his mouth, it's likely he thinks Chris is lying. We sometimes cover our mouths when we don't like what's coming out of someone else's. Have you ever covered your mouth when someone else told you bad news?
Can you look at your camera to see from your security system to see when she left?
That's us. They left out the front door.
Very typical of someone who's guilty. Chris is coming across as very negative and not at all proactive. When we lose something or someone we really want back, even long shot ideas always seem worthwhile trying. Chris is hardly giving any ideas or jumping on any reasonable suggestions.
Where do you kids go to school at?
Primrose and Vista Ridge.
This could have been a little test thrown at Chris by the officer. He may have wanted to see if Chris would jump on the idea to call the school because they were originally supposed to go to school that day.
I have no clue at whatsoever why she wouldn't take her cell phone.
Notice Chris and Nicole are both acting scared and nervous with a lot of pacing around and nervous fidgeting. But there's a huge difference between the two. Chris's nervousness is directed inward for himself because he's nervous he'll get caught. Nicole's nervousness is directed outward because her friend appears to be in danger.
I'm at a loss for I don't know where she's at, where the kids are at.
That's his line. If he were a pull string doll, that's what he would say.
I have no inclination of where they're at right now. I have no idea like where they went. I have no inclination of where she is. I don't have no inclination of where she is.
The guy with the camera said nobody left the house during the day. Only people that showed up in the driveway and entered it were us.
I can
Immediately, she looks at Officer Coonrod in a look of shock realization that Chris must be involved. I'm sure the officer gave Nicole a similar look, but more muted.
What's that?
Nicole holds her chin while looking at Chris in a sign of decision.
Your neighbors.
Now she rubs the front of her neck in self-comfort due to the troubling news. So, what's Chris's reaction to that shocking news? Watch this.
Your neighbor, he has cameras. He said that the only people that left the house were you in the morning and then the other shut and then was us. That's all he has.
I dropped her off.
Okay. But who left and then just. Okay.
Chris just says, okay. He knows that news makes him look very guilty. Chris tried to brush aside that shocking and troubling news to downplay its importance in front of the police officer. But the officer saw what Chris was trying to do, so now Chris's guilt has become very obvious. Now, it seems Officer Coonrod throws Chris a little test